All right, everybody, you know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you, especially those who are listening on the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. We also appreciate those of you who tuned in on various platforms around the world. We appreciate you very, very, very much. It is a rainy night in Georgia, rainy day in Georgia, as we're broadcasting just about 20 minutes or so south of downtown Atlanta. We are, I guess, because of the inclement weather, experiencing some video technical difficulties. So for those of you who are watching, that's why you have my avatar up there right now talking to you. But nevertheless, say it, guys, the show must go on. So we're going to continue to go on until we can kind of get our camera rebooted here and hopefully be able to join you live and in person sooner rather than later. Well, we have posted up our topic for today, and I've been listening to this back and forth. We're coming out of the combines. We have NFL free agency. We have, the NFL draft coming up next month. And right here in Atlanta, of course, the big question is, what are the Falcons going to do at the quarterback position? That is the overarching question. What are the Falcons going to do about the quarterback position? Are they going to draft? And if so, are they going to move up? Because as most of you know, a top tier quarterback, you're not going to find them usually in the second or third or any other later round. You're going to have to, pony up to the bar and look to maybe find something in that, top 5 pick. And the Falcons don't have a top 5 pick. They draft at number 8. So the question is, are the Falcons going to be willing to jump up and be in a situation where they will now go ahead and you get somebody in that top 3 draft? The big, everyone's saying about Jaden Daniels. People are, obviously talking about potentially Drake Mays. The other guy's name who keeps popping up in the surface now is J.J. McCarthy. But I think, based on all the rumors that we're hearing, that the Falcons might do, I don't say the unthinkable, but the Falcons might go ahead and revert back to the strategy that they had when they ironically first hired Coach Arthur Smith, which is to have a veteran quarterback and bring in, or have a young rookie who they feel will be the future of the franchise come in and study under that veteran leader. And you're saying, brother, what is in your mind? So I think that what the Falcons are potentially leaning towards, this is a shocker. First person on the shocker, Kirk Cousins to be their new temporary face of the franchise for the next 2 or 3 years, where they have this window, apparently, where they have a team good enough to be able to win right now. Arthur Blank is over 80 years old now. He's owned the Falcons for now over 20 years. He's came dangerously close to a title. We've seen it up close and personal. We saw it in 2000 first we saw it with Michael Vick. We saw them get to the NFC Championship game in 2005, and we saw them lose to the Eagles, a game that potentially the Falcons, had a shot maybe to win. At one point, they were all in that game. Michael Vick had scored an apparent touchdown. It was called back. Eagles went on to win and go to the Super Bowl and lose to the Patriots. Then just about 7 or 8 years later, after the Michael Vick debacle where he was, jailed, they found themselves again knocking on the door of a Super Bowl appearance, had a 17-0 lead in the first half of the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, and had a 24-14 lead in the second half, and saw that dissipate and end up losing, knocking on the door at the 4 or 5 yard line, and an incomplete pass to Roddy White ended another Falcons run at the Super Bowl. And then finally, another 4 years later, the Falcons finally broke through and found themselves at the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan finally breaking through MVP season under the helm of our guy, Coach Dan Quinn, and of course the offensive genius of young Mr. Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, and the Falcons had the 7th best NFL offense of all time. But once again, a Falcons collapse in postseason, up 28-3 in the third quarter, and then they end up losing that game and losing their opportunity to finally bring Mr. Blank a world title. So now here we are, 7 years later, and the Falcons once again are faced with a situation where they have a team potentially that can do some damage to get in the postseason and maybe get to the Super Bowl, but they need a trigger man. And so that's where we find ourselves right now. The other place we find ourselves right now is in the middle of taking a break. We're going to take a break here, an early break, and we're going to reboot our camera and get this thing to work so you guys can see my smiling face and I can see you. And then we'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. We'll be back with more of the show in just a moment. Hang on, please. I know it's terrible singing. Sorry about that. We'll be back.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
All right, guys, we're back here. Welcome back to the Real Talk Sports Show. Again, I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons. And for those of you who are watching this now, you actually can see me here on the screen because I'm now up on the screen here. Check us out on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're also on Twitch and on Twitter. All those wonderful things all at one time. And again, we appreciate those of you, especially who are listening to us on the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 on the dial. You also can check us out on WIGO1570.com. And last but not least, you can check us out on the, Lord have mercy, on the free TuneIn app. If you don't have that app, please, man, please, sir, go ahead and log on there and get that app cooking. And you will see that, you can hear us there live and in person. All right, getting back to what I was telling you before we took the break. Yeah, I think that the Falcons, it looks like, and this is all about the pundits, guy. I mean, we never know what's really true. We had heard that Bill Belichick was basically a shoo-in to be the next Falcons coach, and you saw where that went. We heard all other types of names. We heard the Falcons might even try to go after Coach Tomlin in Pittsburgh. We heard about Mike Vrabel. We had all these names. I think the Falcons interviewed some 14 or 15 guys. We heard about hotshot coordinators from all over the place. And then out of nowhere, the rumbling started coming forth about Raheem Morris. And all of a sudden, Raheem Morris became the it guy. The more and more steam generated, and next thing you know, voila, Raheem was here. Now, in the case of this particular situation with Kirk Cousins, I think that Kirk Cousins rumbling has been here for a while. If you take a look at the situation with him, you can see where the Falcons would be enamored with him. They call him kind of the, for lack of a better term, kind of the best guy in terms of being available out there. We're not. Let me just say this. I think what the Falcons may end up doing is what I put up on the kind of the flyer. I think they're trying to go back to the future. Yeah, I think what the Falcons are looking to try to do is do what they intended to do before Mr. Arthur Blank, yes, Mr. Blank, I'll take blame for this, jumped in the middle and said, we don't want to have Matt Ryan be the trainer for Desmond Ridder. Instead, we want to go for the gusto right now because, like I said, Mr. Blank's getting older. I want Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson would have been a bad pick. It would have been phenomenal if he had been able to come in here to Atlanta and be able to play, because I think the way Arthur Smith's offense was set up, Deshaun Watson would have been a perfect fit. The problem is that once that there was no backup plan. I mean, I don't know if they spoke to Matt Ryan and told him what was going on. I'm not sure. But the bottom line is you basically kind of poked in the eye a guy who had been a legendary quarterback for you. And a lot of people will say, oh, Minister, you on the Matt Ryan tip. What's up with that? I mean, I'm going to go back and talk about this again. I've been accused of being a Matt Ryan hater and a detractor from Matt Ryan. What I've always said, and I'll say it again, okay, that in today's NFL, that you need a mobile quarterback. Now, everybody keeps telling me, oh, no, that's not true. You need a pocket guy. Okay, well, here's the bottom line. You look at even a guy like Patrick Mahomes. The realities are Patrick Mahomes, he's not a running quarterback, but he is mobile. And for those of you who did not watch the Super Bowl, the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs won that Super Bowl was not just the passing of young Mr. Mahomes, but it was his running as well. If you look at that final drive, he ran and passed. Okay, he ran and passed Kansas City down the field. That's how they matriculated the ball on the field. It wasn't just him throwing darts. It was him running and escaping when they was under huge pressure and to escape the pocket. You look at a guy like, for example, even going back in my day, Joe Montana. Joe Montana was not a running quarterback, but he was a mobile quarterback. Okay, the guy was able to move around the pocket. He was able to slide. He was able to move. He was able to avoid pressure. And so that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that that you got to have a guy like Michael Vick. Now, I will say this much. Let me pause right here for a second. One of the problems that Atlanta fans have is they do have Michael Vick hangover. And that has not went away. There's just no question to me at all. That has not went away. They have, I mean, the bottom line is Falcons fans have not gotten over the fun and the excitement of having Michael Vick run the show here in Atlanta. They just haven't. And because of that, it has really kind of put a damper on any traditional quarterback that's coming here. That's why Matt Ryan, you never got any love for a good majority of Falcons fans. Because number one, he was replacing a guy that was well beloved, and he was different. So anyway, like you said, guys, it's a situation where that's what I think. I think that don't be surprised if the Falcons pull in Kirk Cousins. Also, don't be surprised if they decide not to draft another quarterback and they stay with Desmond Ridder. Now, I know that seems bizarre. I know that seems very bizarre. And I know I am amongst the many that said this guy got to go. But here's the thing. When you think about it from an economic point of view, if you bring in Kirk Cousins, he's not going to come in on the cheap. He's not going to come in on some type of veterans minimum. He's going to be in a situation where he's going to want that money. Okay. And he's going to want a lot of it. You're going to have to pay him somewhere between the tune of, guarantee him somewhere between the tune of $100 to $25 million over a 3-year deal, maybe as much as $130 million. So because of that, you're not going to have all this money available necessarily to spend in other areas. So
kind of makes sense to keep a young quarterback under rookie contract and a quarterback that. Now I'm not tripping. I'm just laying the facts out. A quarterback that, in fact, had there been one less Bijan Robinson fumble, and had there been one less interception by him, or two less interceptions by him, do you know that the Falcons would have went to the playoffs? Yeah, because when they're up 21-13 against the Vikings, they probably go on to score at least a field goal or touchdown. They win that game. And then the Carolina Panther game, if he doesn't throw that interception, I'm sure they kick a field goal, the defense holds, they win that game. So now instead of the Falcons being 10-7, they now end up being 7-10. They now end up being 9-8. And guess what? 9-8 would have put them in the playoffs. And guess what? They would have hosted a home game. And barring Ritter going in and being a complete bomb in that game, we wouldn't even be talking about this whole quarterback issue. I'm just saying, seriously speaking. So because of that, I think the Falcons are saying in their mind, we're going to go back to the original plan that we had. We're going to have a veteran quarterback. We're going to have our third round pick get in here and learn under a veteran quarterback, learn what it means to throw into tight windows, learn what it means to throw your receiver open, learn what it means to be able to make plays under pressure. And I think they have a OC that is a guy that emphasizes pocket quarterbacks. And Desmond Ritter, although he ran very well, he ran for, I think, 5 or 6 touchdowns last year, he is more of a pocket quarterback. And I think that this new OC coming from the Rams would show him, along with Kirk Cousins, how to be nimble in the pocket, how to avoid pressure, and how to get rid of the ball before taking a bad sack. And when I say get rid of the ball, either get the ball and release it to a point that your receiver is scheduled to be, or throw the ball out of harm's way to avoid a sack. Or, if necessary, know when to kind of scoot up and pick up maybe a couple of yards for a key first down, or to keep a drive alive, or maybe even score a touchdown like he did before. So all I can say is that don't be shocked if the Falcons mess around and, like I said, grab Kirk Cousins and then shockingly keep Desmond Ritter around. I mean, I'm just saying, guys, do not be shocked if that happens. I'm just being straight up honest, because that would bring them back to, like I said at the beginning, it would be like going back to where they started, that was the game plan. That was to bring in a third round pick and Desmond Ritter, a guy that's shown some great savvy at the college level, a guy that's shown that he had some ability to perform under pressure against, good quality opposition. If you remember the 2 bowl games they had against the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide, both teams that were at the zenith of college football, in both of those games, the guy acquitted himself pretty well. He really did. I mean, so that's what I think they were looking for. And that's why I picked the guy. I mean, that's why I said to myself the same thing. I said, Desmond Ritter is a guy that I think can lead this team. This is a guy that I thought could be a quarterback of the future. That's why I said it. And I was just as flabbergasted, all of those of you who watched him last year said, what was this guy doing? I mean, it was just crazy. I just could not believe some of the throws that he made under pressure. It was just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. And then especially some of the decision making that he made in the red zone. That was probably the most infuriating thing about watching Justin Fields, about watching him last year, is the fact that his turnovers came at the most inopportune times. His turnovers usually came when either they were in the other team's red zone, or when in fact they were in the Falcons' red zone, which means you have a situation where you actually, it's more devastating, because usually what that means is that you have a plus minus on points. And what do you mean by that? So when you turn the ball over in your own red zone, you normally put yourself in a position where you're going to give up points to the opposition. And number 2, when you turn the ball over in your opponent's red zone, you now take most likely sure points of some type off the board. And then it gets even worse if that particular opponent goes down and scores a touchdown or scores any kind of points, because what you have is you have basically a swing of anywhere between 7 to 10 points. You're taking 3 off the board for you, and then the other team goes down and kicks a field goal. So that's a 6-point swing. You could have been up 3, now you're down 3. Or worse yet, a 14-point swing where you could have scored a touchdown, but instead they come down, march down the field and score a touchdown. So you took one off the board for you and gave them one. And all of a sudden, like I said, again, you have a 14-point swing. And those types of things are devastating when you are trying to have a winning ball club. So like I said, again, don't be surprised if that happens. What do you think? What do you think the Falcons should do? I'm now able to check you guys on social media for your comments. So I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think the Falcons should do? Do you think that new quarterback scenario that's potentially looming, Kirk Cousins being brought in as a starter and keeping Desmond Ridder as the backup to learn under Kirk Cousins over the next 2 or 3 years, and then maybe 2 years from now we get the Desmond Ridder that we thought we were going to get? Or do you think that is the same theory, but bringing in a young quarterback, maybe bringing in a Michael Penix if you can get him in the second round? Or maybe even bringing in a J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he'll be around for a second round. Or some other quarterback, a Bo Nix or somebody else that's lurking in the shadows. Or do you think the Falcons just go ahead and trade up and just go for the gusto and try to get a guy like Jaden Daniels, or a guy that's not really being talked about much right now, Drake Mays? Or should they stay at 8 and pick up J.J. McCarthy there, where he'll probably might be available at 8? What do you think? Love to hear your opinion on it. You go ahead and you can see us right there. Put your comments there on the screen. Excuse me, not on the screen. Put it up there on social media and I will see it. Or you can even call back to the studio, call 404-361-1571. And our producer, the lovely Miss Lady E, will go ahead and pop you up there and let you get your 2 cents in. But yeah, go ahead and let me know what you think. But I got a sneaking suspicion that I hate to say it, I got a sneaking suspicion that they're going to go ahead and grab Kirk Cousins, bad ACL and all. I shouldn't say bad ACL, but an ACL where we're just not sure if he's going to be the Kirk Cousins that we saw. Now, everybody talks about the fact that before he got injured, he was on course to have an MVP-type season. People were talking about the fact that over his career, he has always been at least 65% percentage completion guy. And although people mock him and say, the guy's never won in postseason, go and look at his record in postseason. It really, as far as his individual performance, it's really not been bad. It's not like this guy has been some kind of turnover machine or has cost his team postseason wins. That's actually not been the case. So my only question with the Kirk Cousins thing is 2 things. Number one, are you going to have to pay him a boatload full of money? And if so, how much that amount is? And number 2, do you have a good backup plan, whether it be Desmond Ridder, whether it be a quarterback you drafted? And then number 3, like I said, just 1 and 2. Yeah, how much money you have to pay him? And if, in fact, you have a suitable quarterback that you're grooming to be his replacement in 2 or 3 years whenever you feel the contract is over. I mean, that's really going to be the big question here with this whole Kirk Cousins thing. I mean, do you think that he's going to give us a type of play that's going to get you not just to the playoffs, because the Falcons have been to the playoffs over the years. They've been there with Matt Ryan. Like I said, they've been there with Michael Vick. They really should have been there with Desmond Ridder. The Falcons are in need of a Super Bowl. Now, I grant you, that's a lot to ask for. They're just saying the guy's going to come in here and win a Super Bowl right off the rip. But that's kind of what the Falcons need. They've already kind of been there, done that as far as the playoffs are concerned. What the Falcons need right now is they need the way to get over the hump. And I don't care who it is. I mean, at this point, this city has to get away from being so entertainment driven. I mean, we all like to see, flashy plays. We all like to see people that, make us, rise up off our feet, so to speak. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to get to the point where we like substance over style. Atlanta has been more style over substance since I've been here, at least. It's all about how you look, how you present yourself, how you talk. But at the end of the day, you got to win, because winning solves everything. Winning solves everything. This team has got to find a way to win. And I grant you got to get to the playoffs first. That is the first goal. First goal is to win the NFC South, which is very winnable, like it has been for the last couple of years now that Drew Brees is gone. Don't be wrong, Baker Mayfield, I think he's a good quarterback over at Tampa Bay.
but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that somehow this guy is the second coming of, Tom Brady 2.0. So I think that the division is there to be had. So yes, you're right. The first thing first is to get into that division, win the division, get into the playoffs, and then at least advance to the second round of the playoffs, at least. And then from there, you'll take it from there. If you could, if Kirk Cousins gets you the playoffs the first year, if he could at least win a playoff game. I'm not looking just to get the playoffs. I want to see at least one victory in the playoffs. And then if you say that's as far as we can go because we're playing maybe a top-level team like San Francisco or maybe Philadelphia or something like that, okay, I grant you. But then the next year, your goal really should be a Super Bowl appearance or Super Bowl win. Okay? That's really the goal of your team all the time. I'm just trying to be realistic. We should be able to get to the playoffs. We should, in fact, be able to at least get one win. And then after that, the next year, whether it be Kirk Cousins, whether it be whoever it is at the quarterback helm, you should be knocking on the door of the Super Bowl or getting to the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. That's it. What do you think? I think the Falcons are going to go back to the future. I think they're going to, right or wrongly, bring in Kirk Cousins and either let Desmond Ridder stay or to bring in a young quarterback in one of the later rounds. They're not going to, I don't think, unless J.J. McCarthy is still there at 8, that the Falcons would go ahead and draft a quarterback higher than the second round. Now, and the reason why I keep going back to J.J. McCarthy, at first I wasn't too sold. I'm going to say, hey, the guy is okay. They got a strong defense with Michigan and a strong running game with Michigan. Does that sound familiar? Falcons last year had a top 10 or 15 defense, and they have a potent running attack, probably one of the most potentially potent running attacks in the NFL. And J.J. McCarthy had a chance to listen to him in his interviews. At least he sounds like he could be a potential NFL quarterback, saying all the right things. And remember, guys, last but not least, his mentor, his head coach over the last 3 years was a former NFL quarterback by the name of Jim Harbaugh. Now, for those of you who don't know about Jim Harbaugh, when he played his heyday, he was called Captain Comeback. He played with the Indianapolis Colts, and in the 1994-95 season, he got the Colts in the NFC Championship game and almost pulled out a victory to get them into the Super Bowl to play against Dallas. They lost to Pittsburgh. A Hail Mary fell short right at the end of the game. All right, speaking of the end of the game, it's the end of the game for us here today. You've been listening to the Saturday Sports Update brought to you by the Real Talk Sports Show, and you've been tuned in to the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 and watching across social media everywhere. For those of you listening on WIGO 1570, keep it locked. We got a great lineup of music and talk on Saturday. And check out our lady E as she does it from behind the glass. And for those of you who are listening there, look, like I said, keep it locked. Remember, if you don't know Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, get to know him today. Time is winding up. I'm just saying. All right, everybody, WIGO, so long and God bless. All right, for those of you who remain tuned in here on social media, we still got to go. I want to encourage you and say, hey, God bless you. We appreciate you so much for watching us and joining us. Please remember, follow us anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. That we're on all social media with that same thing, Real Talk Sports, the number 7. YouTube, Facebook, we're there. Check us out. Follow us. We greatly appreciate it. And please go on YouTube and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And we can do it with your help. And last but not least, I'll tell you the same thing that I told the people on WIGO, man. You got to get to know the Lord. That is absolutely paramount. It's not just paramount. It's not because it's just cool. You see all the athletes doing it now. But he's the way. He's the way, the truth, and the life. And if you repent of your sins and believe in him, 2 great things happen. Number, all the rights they're in. That means you now can go to God as a heavenly parent, ask him for anything you need or desire, and he'll grant it to you. And when you leave this place, you go to that happy place called heaven, where there are none of the following: no pain, no pandemic, you never get old, you never die, and you now live with God, Jesus Christ, and all the people of love forever. And you avoid that nasty place called hell, where, ooh, boy, you'd be hanging out with the devil, all those demons, bad people everywhere. I don't know about you, but I like option number 1 instead of option number 2. All right, guys, until the next time we get back together again, I simply say God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever may apply. So long and take care.